Hello?
Well, go ahead and introduce him.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes,
Give me right up.
it's Cato.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Ready to start?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. We're now ready to start the January 31st meeting of the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. Thank you to everyone for being here this afternoon and for your service to this great state. And with regard to higher education, we're going to ask Ms. Carter if you would call the roll.
Mr. Bone. Mr. Cope.
Here.
Mr. Fry.
Here.
Secretary Hargett.
Here.
Ms. Hayes.
Here.
Mr. Isaacs. Mr. Jarvis.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Kinsey.
Here.
Treasurer Lillard.
Here.
Dr. Nixon. Mayor Wharton.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Comptroller Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you so much. Just as a form of opening remarks, I want to introduce someone and get it right this afternoon. Mr. Randy Boyd from the Governor's Office. We're just glad to have you here this afternoon, and if you'd like to make some remarks at this time, feel free.
Just to say hello to a lot of folks. I hope I'll get a chance to meet most of you over the next 12 months or so. But just a quick word, in case you didn't get the notice, the governor has asked me to be a special advisor on higher education. And that's a one-year assignment. I got the job for two primary reasons. The number one reason is I'm free, and the number two reason is I'm unencumbered by knowledge of the subject, which I think it'll hopefully be helpful as I come in and maybe have some being pretty unbiased on a lot of the people I talk with. But seriously, when I talked to the governor, he said that this is something he's passionate about, and he really wants to find ways to make a difference in higher education and improve outcomes for our citizens. And unfortunately, though, in his best week, he only has about 4 hours a week to focus on it. So I'm just going to be able to provide him an extra set of ears to go around the state and listen. So that's what I've been doing. I don't expect to be the guy that comes up with any good ideas, but I'm hopeful that I can channel your good ideas and pass them back on to the governor. One thing that I think that he did that was really profound, and I hopefully everybody noticed it in the State address, but he gave us a mission. Actually, I did talk to him yesterday, and I did tell him that I thought it was an okay speech, but he did spend a lot of time talking about stuff that nobody cares about, like taxes and prison. The most important part was the higher education part. So he did say that we want to take our state from 32% to 55% in post-secondary attainment by the year 2025. I realize that's a big, very audacious goal. It's going to make us have to rethink things, do things a lot differently than we've done before, but I think it helps us frame our actions. So when I go around the state and ask, how we're going to reform higher education, I've probably got so far a list of about 400 or 500 ideas. But if you ask which of these ideas are actually going to drive us to 32%, 55%, it suddenly narrows down the list. I think that's the important thing. We're looking for things to do that are different. What's the good idea? What's the great idea? And try to focus on the great ideas that are going to drive us to 55. So again, excited about this opportunity. I think we've got a very unique situation in our state's history. We've got a governor who's passionate. He's got a lot of support in the legislature. There's a lot of innovative ideas throughout the state. So I think it's incumbent on us to take advantage of the situation and really make some profound changes. So I'm excited to serve with you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have motion second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Cope.
Aye.
Mr. Fry.
Aye.
Secretary Hargett.
Aye.
Ms. Hayes.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey.
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard.
Aye.
Mayor Wharton.
Aye.
Mr. White.
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. Our next item is to entertain the approval of the November minutes, meeting minutes. Have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to adopt the minutes from November. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Cope.
Aye.
Mr. Fry.
Aye.
Secretary Hargett.
Aye.
Ms. Hayes.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey.
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard.
Aye.
Mayor Wharton.
Aye.
Mr. White.
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson.
Aye.
Motion passes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. As far as my report for this meeting, just want to thank everyone again for their commitment. I think we had a really good work session this morning. Really excited about the master plans and how varied they were in their approach to meeting the needs of their infrastructure on each campus. And so thank you to all those who are here from those community colleges for the work that you do. Really looking forward to what you have going there. All right, we're going to ask Dr. Rhoda. Now ready for your report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission and guests, welcome. My remarks will be brief, but before we say that, there was a sheet on at your place in the meeting materials that lists the attachments to the minutes of the last meeting that you just adopted. That was to clarify, and we'll make sure the minutes reflect that those are attachments to the official copy of the minutes. Well, first, I'd like to thank Cato Johnson for joining us on the phone. This is a big moment tomorrow in particular for Cato. It really necessitated him to stay in Memphis, so we appreciate his effort to be with us on the phone. And many of you know this, but Mr. Johnson is being honored. He is receiving the Arthur S. Holman Lifetime Achievement Award. They're in Memphis. It's at the University of Memphis, and it's tomorrow night. Well, gosh, Cato, it's tomorrow night. You could have been here today.
He's getting ready.
Yeah.
I was hoping you would mention that.
But I would, again, I offer you congratulations, and if you would say a few marks, that would be appreciated.
Thank you, Rich. One, I have enjoyed serving on this body. I continue to enjoy serving on this body. And the reason I did stay, because I promised to fulfill all the commitments that's coming up with this. But I really do appreciate all of the support I received from all of you, and thank you. And I know a number of you are coming down tomorrow. The governor's office is coming down for this event tomorrow night. And Rich, thank you so much for your kind words.
Certainly. Well, for those of us who can't be with you, we'll be with you in spirit tomorrow.
Thank you.
Right. Another announcement, many of you have inquired about David Wright and how he is doing. David received his kidney transplant a week ago Tuesday, a successful transplant. He was actually home by Friday, which was remarkable to some of us who it just seemed amazing. He's doing well. Many of the staff, he wants to be kept engaged, and we're trying to pace him. He wants to come back just as quickly as we can, and we certainly understand that, but we are encouraging him to make sure to not come back before he's ready. But to all of those who have inquired about him, it's very good news. Please report that. A couple of comments about our new relationship with Randy Boyd. Of course, I, like others, first met him with his work, his leadership with Knox Achieves, and which is now Tennessee Achieves, and the statewide program, Last Dollar Scholarship Program, that does a tremendous amount of work in mentoring students. It's very much on the forefront of all the things that we as a commissioner are engaged in. But working with him informally, and now in his capacity as special assistant to the governor for higher education, is an opportunity for all of us. And a lot of my notes that I was prepared to say were things he had already said, but I will just reinforce a couple of things that what he is obviously very good at is challenging conventional thinking, helping us as a THEC staff and others think big thoughts, rethink some things on why we do these things. But what he said is exactly right. The timing is right. There's just so many things that are aligned at the policy level where some significant changes, positive changes can be made. So we're building on some momentum that had been built up previously, but it's going already in new and different, better directions. Randy, as an individual, enjoys relationships he's established with some of the big funders, Lumina, through his work with Tennessee Achieves, but now is brought to bear. And it really complements things that we have been doing, but it certainly enhances them. One last thing, and again, Randy said this about we have a mission. I think the value in that is that the governor has presented this, that higher education obviously is a means to greater ends. So yes, increasing educational attainment, but what that actually signifies for the state, what that will mean economically, socially, in virtually every respect, public health, public safety, it's just something that we all obviously need to work for and aspire to. And then one last thing, and this gets back to the Tennessee Achieves. I think of all the planets that are aligned, it is this notion of community engagement, and that's the secret to the success so far in Tennessee Achieves, Gear Up, and some of these other initiatives, because what works well in one community may have better or different success in another. But I think that's a big part of it, which just, I think, a lot of it is serendipity, but a lot of it is just, there are a lot of things we've been marching toward, and now we can pull together. So we ought to be very optimistic and very pleased about where we are as a state. And again, Randy, thank you for being with us. We had an orientation session last week for our newest commission member. Evan was appointed to the commission last summer, but for a lot of not so good reasons, we kept postponing actually a formal orientation session. So that finally happened last week, and Evan, being a good guy and a good sport, came and we subjected him to most of the staff telling him what we do, how we do it, and then actually we went on over to Nashville State, and as well as the Technology Center over on next to Nashville State on here. So, Evan, we thought that was a tremendous experience for us, and we appreciate you giving us the vehicle. But any comments you'd care to make?
Thank you, Dr. Rhoda. I would like to make a couple of comments. First of all, I'm really appreciative of you and the staff taking the time to have an orientation just for me. And I realized I was talking to Randy earlier. Randy was supposed to be here, and I think Sharon maybe had some weather issues. So I was very appreciative that you went ahead and conducted the orientation for me. And as Dr. Rhoda said, I am, I think, the newest member of the commission. And for those of you who've been on the commission for a while, maybe you can remember back, it's sort of a steep learning curve. When you come on this commission, it's a whole different language. I'm realizing very quickly in terms of the work this board does and the two higher education systems in the state. So there were two components to my orientation. The first part was hearing from staff members here at THEC, and I just will be as direct as I can be. I continue to be immensely impressed with the quality of people who work here at THEC. I'm just, every interaction I have, I've just become more and more impressed. And I think we're very fortunate to have such a educated, knowledgeable, and helpful staff that we have here at THEC. So I learned a lot. I think someone described it like drinking from a fire hose, and I guess it was a little bit like that. but I feel like I've got a much better grasp on what this commission does and how it functions to assist the state higher education mission. The second part of the orientation involved touring Nashville State Community College and the Technology Center here at Nashville, and I can say that I was impressed with the Nashville State Community College. I was really impressed with the Technology Center. That's the first time I'd ever toured one of those before, and it's nothing short of inspiring to see people dedicating time to improve themselves and the commitment it takes to actually attend one of those schools and work at the same time. And I was just really blown away with the results that these technology centers are achieving. So all in all, it was just a fantastic day. And I'm very, very appreciative.
Well, we were very glad you could do it. As we have additional members coming on the commission and have those kind of things, we'll invite all other commission members to join us, because it's good for all of us. Just a few more things, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask Mike Krause to brief you, give a summary where we are with a new initiative that an opportunity that came our way.
Thank you, Dr. Rhoda. Spread before you should be a summary of this program. This is known as the Core to College Initiative. Last year, 3 philanthropic groups, the Lumina Foundation, the Hewlett Foundation, and the Gates Foundation, decided that they would form a partnership to select and fund states
that they thought would be good environments to build linkages between K-12 and higher ed on the Common Core standards. We hear a lot about the Common Core standards, especially in K-12. There is no doubt that they are a complete paradigm shift in terms of how we approach student learning. But in higher education, there remains a bit of a chasm to be filled, specifically regarding how we educate students on the general education curriculum and whether or not that's aligned to the Common Core. And also, how can higher education better support the LEAs as they prepare to shift to these new standards? So in November, here at THEC, we prepared a proposal, and we received news right before Christmas that we had been selected for funding. We'll now join 12 other states to receive a 2-year, $400,000 award. And that money is going to be used to do 3 things. First, to build a position here at THEC focused solely on K-12 alignment and the Common Core state standards. That just can't be understated how important that is because, one, it's a very broad initiative, and pieces of it are actually being done by an array of THEC staff now. This will provide the opportunity to have this grant externally funded position to focus solely on that task. Second, we're going to convene our institutions with their LEAs in every region of the state to build the partnerships that we think really will be mutually beneficial. We believe our higher education institutions, particularly in the realm of teacher prep, will benefit from hearing directly from the LEAs regarding what the shift to the Common Core means to them. And we also think that our higher education institutions have a lot to offer LEAs. We have built-in subject matter experts in mathematics and English who we think can be resources to the LEA. And the third part, which I touched on briefly a second ago, is really the most exciting part, and that is taking a look at what the gap is between our current general education offerings in math and English and what students in 9-12 will be learning under the Common Core. We will be the only state in the nation to be doing that. We're very excited about it, and we will keep you updated over the coming years. Thank you.
Great. Any questions? Mike? Thank you. Again, Mike's leadership for the state with Park and all that that represents, I think, was explains how we were encouraged to apply for this grant. So, another similar but different initiative to mention, Russ, if you would.
One of the many transformative policy initiatives in the state the last few years has been the outcomes-based funding formula, which completely overhauled, of course, how we fund institutions. As we go through the 3rd year of implementation with that new finance methodology, we're beginning to get feedback from campuses about how it has, in fact, changed the culture of a campus, changed practices on a campus in anecdotal form. We see the quantitative look at the numbers every fall with increased degree production, increased graduation rates, research that things of those sort, but we don't have a good sense of how it's actually impacting the operations of a campus and the culture of a campus. We hear anecdotal evidence, of course. I've heard Chancellor Morgan say before that there are few aspects of a campus the outcomes-based formula has not impacted. Based on that, we applied for a grant from the Ford Foundation, the centerpiece of which is to study this very question. In the research world, they call this an ethnography, hiring researchers to go basically live on campuses for weeks at a time and talk to staff, talk to students, talk to deans and faculty members about what has changed on the campus now as a result of the state reshifting its focus away from funding based on enrollments to a different mindset of funding based on outcomes. We've just received word that that has been funded. It is a 2-year grant for $500,000. Again, the centerpiece is this ethnography of the funding formula. We're in conversations with researchers around the country trying to line up folks that we can hire to do this study for us, to have an objective look at this question. There are some other what I will call satellite pieces of the grant that will focus on some prior learning assessment work, some data warehouse work as well. But this is an exciting opportunity, and it's a piece of the puzzle which every time I'm asked this, I can always, I can tell you what I'm hearing about how it's impacting the campus behavior, but this will systematically study that question and I think provide a really valuable tool for campuses to learn what others are doing that's successful and for the state to see if this policy initiative has in fact been as profoundly changing of the culture as we thought it could be. So good news on that front as well, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah. Any questions to Russ? Thank you. Okay, 2 more things. At your places is a brochure, Boosting Transfer Student Success. And I'd just like to make a few comments about that, and then Chancellor Morgan, you feel free as well. So you may recall, it's been a number of years ago now, but primarily in the Board of Regents, but also in the UT system, the idea of a 41-hour common education core consisting of 6 major areas. So, because we think this will enhance students' transferability from, if that's a universally embraced general education core. So the research question that we asked ourselves was, does completion of the general education core increase students' probability to graduate, decrease the time to degree, as well as their college GPA? So that's the question. Does it really help? And our research staff, and primarily Alex Gorbanoff, who gave the excellent presentation this morning on profiles and trends, took the lead on this, but looking at transcripts from 18,000 students across the state. So, bottom line, what were the results of the studies? And again, there's some dissimilarities between students as a group who do take the core and those who don't. But factoring that out, if you look at those students that are similar in terms of their background and education experiences, what we found is that the completion of the entire general education core, you can really see, we can document that it increases those students who do take the core. It increases their probability of graduation by about 22 percentage points. That's the first one. It does reduce the time to degree, to a bachelor's degree, for those who completed the general education core. Again, that makes sense because they're stayed, between the ditches, as it were. And then third, it does increase their overall GPA. 0.3%, not a lot, but something. So those are the major findings. You can fine-tune it below that. Completion of each of the general education clusters, those 6 clusters, also had a statistical significant effect on outcomes. The 6 subject clusters varied considerably, with mathematics and communications components having the greatest impact. So if a student doesn't take the full 41 hours, the ones that took mathematics and communications, that was the greatest help. I hate to say this, but the lowest impact was the clusters around the humanities. I guess that makes a little sense. So that's something we're going to build on. We're going to work from. And I think it's kind of like what Russ was talking about, validating the outcomes formula. I think the idea was to see, could we empirically say that the general education core is in fact significant to success, and it is. John?
I think it's well said. I don't have a lot to add to that other than we appreciate the work that was done. It is very pleasant to have things that you think are true shown to be true. And clearly the Gen Ed core, the work that's been done there, and this does go back to 2004, whenever I guess that was started. But it provided the basis to move forward. The transfer pathways, I think, were probably much easier to negotiate because we had already developed this 41-hour general education core, and it has been a useful technique, and we think it really does promise to offer great opportunity going forward. So,
yeah, I'd like to thank the staff who worked on that. Last item, Mr. Chairman, new staff. Since we were together last, there are 4 individuals I'd like to recognize and ask them to acknowledge that I'm saying something about them. Scott Sloan is our new general counsel. Right here, Scott. Scott succeeds Will Burns in that capacity. Scott comes to us most recently from Trey Hargett's office, where he was the director of policy and research. Prior to that, he had meaningful experience in the legislature as a staff member in the Senate, as well as chief engrossing clerk for the Senate. So, Scott, we're very glad you're with us. Next, Dr. Kim Martin. Kim, right next, there. Kim has joined us in the working on David Wright's staff in policy planning and research. She comes to us most recently from the University of Florida, where she worked in the Office of the Associate Provost for Undergraduate Affairs, but she also has her graduate education in political science from the University of Florida. Kim, glad you're here. Let's see. Herbert Brown. Herbert Actually, Herbert, this is your second week, maybe? First, yeah, well, time flies. Right. So he is now on our academic staff, and he works with Betty Dandridge Johnson and Mike Krause. And he actually is in Mike's former position with some variations when Betty was elevated to chief academic officer, and then Mike beneath that. So Herbert comes to us from Meharry Medical College, where he was assistant dean and deputy director of the Center for Health Policy. And we're very glad that he is with us. His degrees are in political science and public administration. Herbert. And last, only in order now of who I'm talking about, but Chris Tarnacki is here. Chris may be familiar to you. He has been with us as a graduate assistant. Russ mentioned this morning that Scott Melcher is leaving us to move on to Kentucky. Chris will now be moving into that position as a full-time employee, and that's Assistant Director of Fiscal Policy and Facilities Analysis. Chris is finishing up his master's degree in public policy at Vanderbilt. So, Chris, glad you're with us. And, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Rhoda, for the report, and welcome to the new staff. We're now ready for our system reports. We're going to call on Chancellor John Morgan for the Board of Regents.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will attempt to be fairly brief. But one thing I did want to mention starting out is our Rich deserves congratulations for being elected chairman of the board of the Elephant Sanctuary in Owenwell, Tennessee.
Well, thank you, John. That's
the only such elephant sanctuary in this country, or actually in the world.
It's a great cause.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
well, thank you. And this still is my day job.
They won't let you come look at their elephants, so maybe you can work on it.
New leadership will take it. Yeah.
Just a few things to brag a little bit about, and then a couple other issues I want to share with you. But U.S. News and World Report issues their rankings, and we like to complain about those rankings. Normally we complain when our institutions aren't mentioned favorably. But when they are mentioned favorably, we like to make sure everybody at least knows that. The University of Memphis was noted as being among the top 10 national universities in terms of the percent of their graduates that have had internships. In fact, 52% of the graduates from University of Memphis have had the opportunity for internships, in large part because of partnerships with folks like the City of Memphis, FedEx, other major employers in Shelby County. And that's important because it does give students an opportunity to have real world experiences that what we find is lead to much greater opportunities for employment. So it's we're proud of Memphis for that, for what they have done. They've been working on that now for a long time, and it really is a successful program. Tennessee Tech, we've talked about Tech before in terms of their relatively low debt burdens of graduates. That was reaffirmed through the information that U.S. News published within the last month or so. Nationally, average debt for graduates somewhere around $26,000 to $27,000. In Tennessee, that number is closer to 21, something like that. At Tech, it's less than $10,000. It's about $9,900, with only about 47% of their graduates having borrowed at all versus the national average about 68%. And they also have one of the very lowest default rates. They're at 3.9%, so that's good for them. Why exactly that is true, we need to understand better, so perhaps we can export those values and traits to other institutions, but I suspect Angelo could tell us a little bit about that. But we're proud of Tennessee Tech in that position. Community colleges, Walter State has received recognition from Apple for its mobile learning initiatives. It is one of 103 Apple Distinguished Programs nationwide. Every academic division in Walter State has developed a plan to use mobile devices in instruction. More than 60 different apps have been developed and are being used in almost every subject that they offer. And what they have found is it makes a real difference in terms of student learning. Anywhere from 10% improvement based on different measures, all the way up to 25% in some disciplines. So it's a significant contributor. We're committed as a system to expanding our use of mobile technology in classroom as well as other operations of our institutions. Related to that, not a community college issue, but related to that, Tristan Denley was recognized Monday night by the governor for his work on the Degree Compass program, which has now kind of gone national. The company called Desire to Learn, D2L, has picked up that product and will help develop that for a national application. Chattanooga State was one of 3 community colleges out of roughly 1,200 community colleges nationally that was one of 3 that was named a winner of the Bellwether Award by the 2013 Community Colleges Futures Assembly. That award is for cutting-edge, trend-setting programs that are worthy of replication. It's judged by a group of peers of community colleges. Chattanooga State won for it in the workforce development category for its work with Vacher Institute, the diplomas with job offers program that allows, we hope, allows graduates to leave with actual job offer in hand. So we're proud of Chattanooga State for that. And then one thing on TTCs I'll mention, this was mentioned earlier in a work session, and I suspect we'll talk a little bit about it in the budget. We're going to talk about budget. Yeah. Is a project that was part of the governor's budget recommendation, is a partnership between Nissan and the Tennessee Technology Center in Murfreesboro. This is the culmination of really several years of cooperation between those 2 entities. But Nissan has done a considerable amount of expansion and has expansion yet to do in Rutherford County and Middle Tennessee, bringing in lots of new employees. And what they have encountered is training facilities that really aren't as robust and not as useful and functional as they really have to be if they're going to be able to maintain what they have and bring on the new products and new employees. So in conversations that led to the development of a joint use facility that will be owned by the Board of Regents through the Technology Center in Murfreesboro, but it'll be about 155,000 square foot facility, about half of which will be mostly utilized by Nissan and about half of which will be mostly utilized by other programs that will be offered by the TTC Murfreesboro. But there will be joint use of the full facility. Nissan is making a contribution to that. They're helping site and pay for site of that facility. They will provide equipment for their side, their training side, but that equipment, robotics and otherwise, will be available to all students who come to the TTC for training. And in similar fashion, equipment we have, machine tool, other types of equipment we have on our side of the building will be utilized and available to Nissan as they train their employees. This is a good partnership, and it's one that will allow us to make a significant contribution, we believe, to workforce training, not only for Nissan, but for other industries in the region. It also free up some space, 20,000 square feet or so of space in our existing technology center, which has been absolutely full. So it will allow us to expand some programs in that facility as well. We're real excited about the prospects, and we think this can serve and likely will serve as a model for further development for more specific, focused workforce training work by our institutions, particularly technology centers in this case. Just one other thing I want to mention, and this I don't think is going to come up in the legislative discussion, but just to because it concerns me, it kind of has deeply affected us in terms of Tennessee Board of Regents. Yeah, we had the the trends and profile report earlier today, and Alex, it was a very good report. I don't know whether we're going to do that in the full meeting or not, but for those of you who weren't here, it's available. It's good information. But it suggests that demographics in this state are changing. When you look at the changes in population over the last 10 years, and if you project out over the next 10, 20, or even longer horizon, it suggests that Tennesseans are going to look very different in the future than they have in the past. And for us to achieve the audacious goal, which is, and we are very supportive of that goal at Tennessee Board of Regents. But if we're going to get to 55, if we're going to drive to 55, it's going to be because we do a much better job with students that historically we haven't been very successful with. First-generation students, students of color and other underrepresented minorities, as well as students from low-income households. So as we think about diversity and we think about the importance of diversity at our institutions, it is critical for us, if we're going to be successful in closing the gaps that were illustrated so clearly to us in the earlier presentation, then we have to pay attention. And we have to understand the differences in learning style, the differences in approach, successful approaches for different types of students. So there is a discussion going on. Hopefully it's not going to be a very successful discussion, but there's a lot of fear, at least on our part, of a discussion around diversity, limiting our ability to track, limiting our ability to focus and pay special attention to particular populations. So I raise that issue just to make you aware of it, and it's something that we believe is very important, that we maintain the ability at the Tennessee Board of Regents to be able to focus our efforts in a way that will, in fact, lead us to be a contributor to the Drive to 55 movement. So that's it. Thank you.
We certainly concur with that.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you so much, Chancellor Morgan, for that report. And now I'll call on Dr. DiPietro for the UT report.
Commission, I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate Chancellor Morgan on the advancements that his institution's made within the U.S. News and World Report rankings. We believe in them wholeheartedly, too, whether we're doing well or not. All of our institutions, particularly undergraduate campuses and graduate programs that are traditional campuses, have put together aspirational goals and gaps and are trying to close them based on those parameters. So they're about as good a set of marks as you can get. They're probably not perfect, and everybody argues about what is the best set. Secondly, I was going to remark about the diversity circumstances of our institutions and the need to be aware of diversity, advancing diversity. And again, the report this morning helped nail that home. And I won't belabor that, but I agree full-heartedly with John about that. We're very pleased with the budget that was outlined and provided to us recently, particularly from the standpoint of our undergraduate, graduate campuses, the traditional campuses we have in the system at Knoxville, Chattanooga, and Martin. It's a very, very solid budget for those institutions, as well as the Health Science Center in Memphis, which did very well, both in capital programs as well as performance-based monies that have come to them. We're still trying to figure out how to best address a lack of funding of our non-formula units. Not that saved the Health Science Center, Mr. Mayor, which is in just fine shape. But the traditional non-formula units that I actually come from and have a background with in the Institute of Agriculture, like Extension and Experiment Station, that are located throughout the state, and the Institute of Public Service, which help everything from municipalities, county governments, manufacturing companies, are not in the appropriations model as currently constructed. You might ask why that's difficult and challenging. It's particularly difficult and challenging for them because they do not have a revenue stream off of the back of tuition. So as a consequence, those 4-H programs, those extension office opportunities, in order to make budget, just cost to continue, will have to be in a troubling situation of figuring out how to do that. And we're still trying to best address the lack of new funds in that area with our people. We think we can work this out.
and we hope we certainly can. And, you know, many of these opportunities are that they provide to citizens across the state are really what make us a land-grant institution at the University of Tennessee. And I was appreciative of the Commission and its recommendation last fall of a 4.6% increase for those units, but we'll still need to figure out how to best address the lack of the funds for those parts of our institution. We're in the midst right now of an effort with our strategic planning group. We have implementation teams. We've handed out a scorecard mock-up here on this card. You'll see the dials on the inside. We passed them around. And I'll point this out for a few reasons. You can go to this website, which is referenced on the back. You can actually see how we're performing, and this is how we're going to drive our institution forward on the back of this strategic plan. So that as we created the plan, and I know that Dr. High reported to the Commission last meeting about it, we felt it was very important not only to have a solid plan that everybody could feel like they could advance within our system by what they do for us, but also that we measure outcomes. And you can go and take a look at how we're doing, and we will be presenting this routinely not only to this board or commission, but also our Board of Trustees. So the 5 areas in the strategic plan are outlined there: enhancing educational excellence, expanding research capacities, fostering outreach and engagement, ensuring effectiveness and efficiency, and advocating for the University of Tennessee. I would just like to give you a sub-note about one. John and I have talked about this, and Dr. High is going to work with a team of people with TBR. For example, the focus of that group, the implementation team in enhancing educational excellence during the last 6 months, has really been looking at our online activities at the University of Tennessee. We have over 600 courses online. We have about 40 degree programs, if I remember right, Katie. And what we'd like to do is work with TBR and the counterparts that Dr. High has there and others to figure out how to develop programs where their online material and our online material is duplicated. Who's going to do it and who isn't? Can we develop partnerships so that we can work that out? Better yet, can we develop pathways associated with online coursework, just like we have with community colleges, in order for a student who wants to do material online, perhaps in the first 2 years of their curriculum, and then move to the University of Tennessee, or TBR for that matter. I'm not parochial. I mean, we need to get to 55, and it's going to take all of us to do that. Yep. So we will ask this implementation team within our university and organization, with Dr. High's help, and those at TBR, to see what we can get done together. Because we think we'll be stronger together. We think we can hopefully be more efficient and effective, and bottom line, generate more degrees. So we welcome that opportunity. I'm very pleased to be working with Randy and the working group. We've sat down, we've talked a lot longer than I expected the first time. He asks hard questions. I don't always have the answer for him, Randy, but I always tell you that we'll try to get them. And I think it should be a great process, and welcome aboard. The other thing that I wanted to report on personnel-wise is that we're in the midst of a search for a new chancellor at UT Chattanooga. We have the luxury of having 3 very talented, what I would call final finalists, who will be coming back to be evaluated from February 4th through 8th, I guess next week. Diane Allen from Salisbury University, Hal Jones from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and Stephen Angle from Wright State University in Ohio. All of them are very, very impressive individuals. We need to get them back and reevaluate them, kick the tires a few more times. We are very appreciative of the fact that the governor wants to meet with them as well. We think it's another ringing endorsement of his interest in higher education. The Chattanooga community is excited about the opportunity to have new leadership, and we appreciate the work of the search committee in advancing those people. It's our hope that by our board meeting in February that we will have a name of a person, to elect, and that's what we're planning to do right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions for? All right, thank you so much for the system reports. We're now ready for our action items. We'll start with 1A, which is approval of new academic degree programs, and that we'll call on Ms. Betty Dandridge Johnson for this item.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chairman White, Dr. Rhoda, and members of the Commission. I'd like to direct your attention to Agenda Item 1A in your notebook regarding the new academic program approval request for the Physician Assistant's Master's Program at the UT Health Sciences Center. The Physician Assistant Program will be a 24-month program that will include 1 year of classroom and lab instruction, followed by 1 year of supervised clinical practice rotations. During that first year, students will be taught by faculty from the College of Allied Health and the College of Medicine, and will have access to the center's simulation center and work with other allied health students, as well as medical, dental, and pharmacy students. In the second year, PA students will be placed in clinical settings, in hospitals and medical practices with hands-on education in areas such as family practice, emergency medicine, and general surgery. The program's curriculum is aligned with the accreditation requirements, and PA graduates will be able to immediately contribute to the healthcare team working under the supervision of licensed physicians. The PA program addresses our Complete College Tennessee Act of increasing post-secondary credentials, the production of additional master's level graduates, especially in a high-need STEM field, also aligns with the state's public agenda. The PA proposal request met the program feasibility guidelines, which were 3: mission distinctiveness, program need, and resource availability, and therefore was given approval by THEC staff in September 2011 to develop a comprehensive proposal. The program proposal has undergone thorough campus as well as system-wide review. In September of 2012, a site visit was conducted by 2 outside consultants in the PA field, and those consultants were Dr. Paul Lombardo from the Stony Brook University Medical Center, who has served as president of the American Academy of Physician Assistants, as well as Dr. James Cowley, who is a professor at George Washington University. Both consultants have authored articles and books on the PA profession, as well as health science topics, and THEC and UT staff also participated in the site visit. Regarding the very first program feasibility requirement in terms of mission distinctiveness, this new graduate program in PA will fit well with the other allied health programs at the Health Sciences Center and its mission of using health sciences to improve human health with a focus on serving the citizens of Tennessee. Program need and demand is another program criteria used to evaluate program feasibility. And in looking at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it projects a 30% growth in employment of PAs through 2018. As more physicians enter specialty areas of medicine, there will be a greater need for primary health care providers such as PAs. Also, Tennessee is well below the national average in the number of practicing PAs per population. Currently in Tennessee, we have roughly about 1,000 practicing PAs. There are 156 PAs per million in population in Tennessee versus the national average of 256 PAs. The final program feasibility criteria was based on resource availability and program duplication. The PA program will be funded through campus reallocation and tuition revenues. Startup costs for the program included faculty and staff recruitment, renovations, and equipment. During the site visit, we were able to tour the proposed facility, and the external reviewers were pleased with the potential space for classroom as well as faculty administrative offices. This program will be the first PA program at a public institution in Tennessee, and it will have the unique distinction of being at an academic health sciences center as well as a medical school. The reviewers also included this as a program strength. Nationally, we have about 170 programs, and of those, 5 are located in the state, but all 5 are at private educational institutions. Tennessee residents that were seeking an affordable PA program attended the University of Alabama in Birmingham through our Academic Harmony Market program. Implementation of the program is expected to start in January 2014, with students attending full-time and completing the degree in 2 years. The first class projects 26 students, with 24 to 28 students graduating annually starting in 2015. In preparation for the initial class, the program expects to be granted provisional accreditation by September of this year, with full accreditation in 2017 from the ARC PA Accrediting Agency. In summary, this new Master's PA program fits with the overall mission of the UT Health Sciences Center and will help the state to meet the growing need of more physician assistants. The Allied Health Dean has recruited a program director that has experience in developing PA programs. The curriculum design is solid and contains the infrastructure to meet accreditation requirements. The outside consultants were impressed with the leadership at the Health Sciences Center, the opportunity for students to work and to be trained alongside other members of the medical team, as well as program affordability. The program has also been approved by the UT Board of Trustees this past November, and the THEC staff today recommends approval of the Physician Assistance Program at the UT Health Sciences Center. I'll be pleased to answer any questions.
Questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion for approval of this new academic.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second to approve this new academic degree program. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Pope?
Aye.
Mr. Fry?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey?
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard? Mayor Wharton?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson?
Aye.
Motion passes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank, and I'd like to thank Betty for with incredibly thorough staff work and just an editorial comment. Just the tremendous working relationship between the UT academic staff and the Health Science Center staff. And the same thing is true at the Board of Regents. This one just happens to be a UT project, so very good all the way around.
Very good.
We very much appreciate the Commission's support and endorsement of this program. I say often that it doesn't really matter where you live in Tennessee if you want to keep healthy. Memphis is important to you. That's where, the majority of the health professionals in our state train at. This is another example of a much-needed training program, and Noma Anderson and Cheryl Scheid should be both congratulated for bringing it forward.
All right. Great. We're now ready for our second item, 1B, which is post-secondary education authorization. I'll ask Dr. Stephanie Bella-Chase to present the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Dr. Roda, members of the Commission, good afternoon. The Committee on Post-Secondary Educational Institutions recommends that the new institutions in Section 1B1 and the new programs in Section 1B2 be given temporary authorization and approval, respectively.
We'll move. A second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Pope?
Aye.
Mr. Fry?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey?
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard? Mayor Wharton?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson?
Aye.
Motion passes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. We're now ready for 1C, which is the October 31 revised budgets from 2012 and 13. We'll call in Dr. Rusty.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Roda, members of the Commission, Item 1C is a summary of the operating budgets. These were discussed pretty thoroughly this morning, along with some background materials, I think the theme of which is greater efficiency and good stewardship of resources among the institutions. Staff have thoroughly reviewed the budgets. Everything is in order, and we do recommend them for approval and transmission to Finance Administration.
All right. We have the recommendation from the staff. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the commission approve the fiscal year 2012-13, October 31 revised operating budgets, authorize the executive director to make appropriate technical adjustments if necessary, and transmit the revised operating budgets with the commission's action and comments to the Department of Finance and Administration for their review and approval.
All right, is there a second? Second. All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the revised budgets. Any further discussion?
Just quickly, I would be remiss if I did not note that the city of Memphis and Shelby County certainly appreciates the funds set aside for the community health building at the University of Memphis and at our health science center. Puts a lot of folks to work, also educates
There you go.
us to
Yeah,
get the economy trying. Appreciate it.
All right, any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to vote on this because of my position.
Okay, great. Please note that. No, call the roll, please.
Mr. Cope?
Aye.
Mr. Fry?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett? Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Johnston?
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey?
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard? Mayor Wharton?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
The motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. We're now ready for 1D, which will be the Dyersburg State Community College Master Plan.
Mr. Chairman, these were also presented in the morning work session pretty thoroughly by Mr. Carl Makeup from the Board of Regents. They have also been reviewed by THEC staff. I think each of these master plans are in excellent order and really do a good job looking long-term for the campus's needs. We recommend them for approval as well and waiting SBC action after that.
Okay, we're going to take each one as a separate vote. So we'll start with Dyersburg. We'll entertain the motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Second. All right. Motion and second to approve Dyersburg State Community College Master Plan. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Cope?
Aye.
Mr. Fry?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett? Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey?
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard? Mayor Wharton?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson? Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. We'll now entertain a motion to approve the Jackson State Community College Master Plan.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
All right, we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second to approve the Jackson State Community College Master Plan. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Cope?
Aye.
Mr. Fry?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett? Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey?
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard? Mayor Wharton?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson?
Aye.
Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. And the next one, rather, is one dear to my heart. We'll entertain a motion to approve the Northeast State Community College Master Plan.
Well, I'll move that one.
All right. We have a second.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and second to approve the Northeast State Community College Master Plan. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll.
Mr. Cope?
Aye.
Mr. Fry?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey?
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard? Mayor Wharton?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson?
Aye.
Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. And last but definitely not least, Mississippi State Community College Master Plan. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right. Motion to second to approve the Mississippi State Community College Master Plan. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Cope?
Aye.
Mr. Fry?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Kinsey?
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard? Mayor Wharton?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson?
Aye.
Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you for anyone who may have to leave for being here during our action items. We appreciate the commitment. We'll now start on our information items. 2A, Academic Program Review. We'll call on Mr. Mike for this item.
Well, Mike's going up to the podium. One last word about the master plans, just editorial comment. And Carl and I were talking about this after his presentations. You know, these master plans really are looking forward to academic program development first and foremost, but then it gets into things we've been talking about with online blended kind of formats. So what is that going to do to some of the more traditional measures of utilization of space and what's the measure, Carl, that we were talking about, the basically seat time, you know, workstation.
Yeah. Hours.
Yeah. But anyways, it kind of makes it probably have a different set of metrics coming out of this. Yeah. So we're very aware of the fact that some of the conventional metrics may have lesser significance now. Is that fair, Carl? Is it?
Yes, I think that's fair. We're always looking to the academic plan and the procedures plan, so our antenna is up as to the changes in the teaching methods and how they affect the physical facility. Pretty much everything you saw this morning was actually on-campus degree-seeking students, but we do acknowledge there's a major impact from the online, the hybrid classes, the specialty classes, the research. So we do try to consider all of that and keep our antenna focused on the teaching plan of the institute.
Well said. All right.
Thank you, Chairman White, Dr. Rhoda, members of the Commission. Next several minutes, we're going to talk about a pretty important topic, and that is this year's review of the health of the academic programs in Tennessee. It's important for a couple reasons. One, as we move towards these ambitious completion goals, and as we move under the leadership to move towards 55% of Tennesseans with a post-secondary credential, obviously their vehicle to that credential will be these programs. And so how these programs are succeeding is vitally important to our completion goals. Second, any academic program, if you think about it, is really a statement of an institution's priorities. They care enough about that field or that discipline that they've embedded it within their limited resources and plan to offer it. And so we're going to take a look at our academic programs offered by our public institutions from a couple different perspectives. First, we're going to look overall. What were our new programs that were created this year? Which programs were terminated this year? Where was the bulk of the activity carried out at which level? Second, we'll take a look at the health of our new programs, which we accomplish via the post-approval monitoring program. This will give us a sense of if the new programs that have approved within the last 5 years, whether or not they're meeting their benchmarks. Finally, we're going to take a look at quality because obviously the first two factors are very much about quantitative evaluation and determining reaching of successful benchmarks. The third one's really important, and it's also important because as we talk about the funding and the outcomes-based funding formula, one of the things Dr. Deaton constantly has brought to his attention as a question and a common refrain is, if we're funding based on outcomes, how can we be sure that quality remains? And I'm very proud to present this presentation later because we do have measures that tell us that quality remains in place. So we will start off by talking about program activity. In July 2011, THEC delegated our authority to approve sub-baccalaureate programs to the Tennessee Board of Regents. And so what you'll see on the top two rows really can be thought of as bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. They were all approved here at THEC, and you will see that that activity was pretty conservative. The new program approval process, it's worth exploring here for a moment. When a program, for instance, the physician's assistant program that Ms. Dandridge-Johnson just presented for approval, any sort of new academic program at the baccalaureate, master's, or doctoral level that comes through THEC goes through a full letter of intent process where the institution has to make the case that both the resources and the need exist to support the program. Second, if it's a graduate program, THEC, along with the academic affairs staff at the system, have a physical site visit with an external consultant to evaluate the program. And then finally, there's a full proposal brought before the Commission. You will see that the Commission has not considered an incredible number of programs over the last year. You will see there's been higher activity at the community college level, and we'll discuss that more here in a moment. First, the THEC programs that we've approved, and you'll find these on tab 2A in the appendix, have really run the gamut. We've had geosciences approved, we've had doctoral programs in education, integrated studies program focused on adults at UTC, occupational therapy at UTC, and now a physician's assistant program at UT Memphis. I think those are all programs that really a common thread running through them, and this is something we commend the institutions and the systems are. They were all tied directly to the institution's mission, and almost all of them had a direct one-to-one credential to workforce link. And so those 7 programs that we've approved really since July 2011 really have a good pathway for students to know that they can enter directly into a vocation. The community college level approvals have been high. They've been predominantly weighted towards certificate programs, technical certificates. these often are our credentials that are the most nimble and the most responsive. And so when a local employer says, we need this track, we need people that know how to do this skill, at our community colleges, this is typically accomplished via a certificate program. There have been some associate programs approved by the Board of Regents. I will say that over the last 2 years, there have been a large number, about 132 programs, when we take a look at this year and last year. That's a significant increase. Terminations. Termination activity has been low. There was a modest increase since last year. We've had 22 terminations this year. The good thing about terminations is right now they're really occurring when institutions do a self-assessment and determine that right now this probably isn't the business we should be in. In some cases, the programs that are being terminated have been on the low producing report for many years, if not a decade. Those 22 terminations are also included in your appendix. And I guess I wanted to pause during each section of the presentation because they are slightly different. It's just, we have any questions on the program activity this year? Great. So we'll move on to talk about the health of our new programs. When a new program is approved here at THEC, the institution at that time submits their projections, what they believe the marks they think they can hit on enrollment and graduation, and the budgetary guidelines that they intend to follow. We monitor those programs for a period of 5 years at the baccalaureate and above level, and the associates and below level is monitored for 3 years. I will say that this is an entirely interactive process with the institutions, and one thing I want to stress, from this point on when we talk about benchmarks or failing to meet benchmarks, we're really talking about self-developed benchmarks, not THEC-imposed benchmarks. These are the benchmarks that the institution said they thought they would meet. Overall, the news is mixed. Out of the total monitoring set for this year, only 34 reached their benchmarks. 34 failed to reach benchmarks of 52 monitor programs. So it's very safe to say that the vast majority of new programs are not meeting their benchmarks. It's kind of important for 2 reasons. First, ties right back to new program approval. This is kind of the contract that was put into the proposal. We will have this enrollment that we think we will meet. We will have this graduation rate we think we will meet. As you'll see in the appendix, which lists them by name, that's not always occurring. The second one, which may be the most important, is most of these programs, their enrollment generates their revenue. And so it's a matter of institutional resource allocation. The thing really to focus on here, I think, is that most of our programs that aren't meeting benchmarks are not in their final monitoring year. Meaning, if you think about that 5-year cycle, they have time. They're on glide slope. We do want to pay particular attention, however, to programs that are reaching the end of their 5-year period, meaning they will soon become a mature program, they will be on the low producing report, or hopefully not. And we had 3 such programs that are concluding their post-approval monitoring and have consistently not met standards. Yes, sir. Chairman White.
Could you go back one slide?
Absolutely.
Of those 34, again, I want to make sure I'm on the same page. These benchmarks are not THEC benchmarks. The institution.
That's exactly right. These are the benchmarks. So, for instance, again, during Betty's presentation on the PA program where she showed enrollment and graduation, these are the benchmarks that the institution brought to us. And that's actually a very good segue because one thing I'd like to talk about with these programs is they're actually not just failing to meet institutional benchmarks, though they are significantly. They're actually failing to meet THEC benchmarks as well. Our THEC benchmarks are as follows. For a bachelor's program, we ask that there be an average of 10 graduates over a 5-year period. For a master's program, we ask for 5 graduates over a 5-year period. And a doctoral program, 3 graduates. Programs that fail to meet those thresholds go on to the low producing report. We hope that that report is used to think about institutional decisions, and sometimes it is. In this case, I guess our hazard is these new programs will transition directly from being a new program to a low producing program. And yes, sir.
So if you go to the previous page, of the 34, I mean, there's a whole lot of difference between being 3 standard deviations from meeting the benchmarks and being close and nearly on track. Can you give us some sense of that?
Absolutely. So if you'll turn to Appendix B, which is on page 8 of Tab 2A, and that's an excellent question, and we agree. We sought to organize these programs not as a polar, either meeting or not meeting, you'll see that each program is sorted by whether or not they met one or the other of the benchmarks. So you'll see many of the programs are meeting one. Does that help?
Yeah, it's very good.
Absolutely. It's a very good point. Dr. High?
And if I could add to that, every year we get very precise information from THEC, so we know precisely how close we are to meeting that benchmark or how far we are from it.
That's exactly right. And so it highlights another part of the process, and that is, again, it goes back to the collaborative nature of this. When a program is not meeting these benchmarks, we ask that they provide an action plan. There are institutions that do a very thorough job of explaining how they think they'll reach their projections. And to go to President DiPietro's point, many of these 34 programs are meeting one or the other. And please look at that appendix, and if you have any questions about the specific programs, I'm happy to talk through that.
My only other comment, it's pretty editorial, but I'll make it anyway. So I can really subscribe to the benchmarks on the master's programs and undergraduate programs, but I can see programs where you have a PhD output of 1 for every 3 or 4 years that are world class from the standpoint of the faculty member who's driving the program or the team, or maybe even 2. So I'm not as concerned about those showing up on this list as long as the commission understands the fact that PhD level training is a different animal, and that oftentimes because of various consequences, professorial group doesn't feel taking more than 1 or 2 students apiece is all they want to take. They matriculate at the same time. You can have ebbs and flows in this and still have a very, very good, excellent, world-renowned PhD program.
Absolutely. And I don't want to speak for Betty, but she has brought that exact point up several times, and that is that the pipeline for PhD students can often be longer, which is somewhat heartening when you look that we actually don't have any PhD programs here. These really are an undergraduate and a master's program. And I'll also say that to have only 3 programs that are in this sort of peril is probably a good thing as well. Chairman White.
So where along the continuum with ETSU's theater be 2 years, 3 years, 5, 4 years?
We use this average. We actually, we could have used the 5-year average, but we thought that was unfair because obviously a student can't graduate in year 1. And so that average, we actually used a 4-year to try to give a little bit of assistance. The specific circumstances with both of those top 2 programs are interesting. The theater program has pretty healthy enrollment pipeline that's not translating to completion for whatever reason, whereas the women's studies program has really neither a healthy enrollment or graduation pipeline. So the good news is this is actually the start of a dialogue versus a conclusion. As you all know, when a program completes this cycle, THEC can recommend termination. What happens now is we really engage in a dialogue about how we can help these programs succeed. And that dialogue will include Dr. Hyde, Dr. Clark, as well as the institutions. And these are the 3 programs that will really be focusing on their future over the next 12 months regarding new programs. Any other questions on post-approval monitoring?
I want to make sure this is inherently a screening device.
It's certainly a device that helps us assess whether or not they're meeting the requirements they said they would meet.
Sort of does that. Real driver here would be the College Act.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay. That's what I.
Yeah, if I could, Mr. Chairman, and this one of the things that Russ talked about earlier with the Ford Foundation grant that we'll be able to understand more clearly in the future than we do today. But there may be, and the case of the world-class PhD programs, I think, needs to be recognized because that is different. But for an undergraduate program, it will be a rare set of circumstances that would cause one of our institutions to, in this environment, on a complete college with funding based on outcomes, to commit significant resources to maintenance of a program that's not producing outcomes. Now, there could be a set of circumstances where you would do that. Maybe there's a donor who's interested in a particular program that you might make an investment decision based on that, but that'd be pretty rare. So this is helpful for us. I mean, this is the kind of thing that that we will ask questions at the system level about, well, why are we doing this? If it's not producing outcomes, why are we doing this? And the campuses are asking themselves those questions before we get a chance to in most cases. Yeah.
And that's exactly right. And so this is a really good juncture to thank Dr. High and India, as well as Dr. Clark and Treva, who's not here, who are the system staff, that this actually represents about a 9-month process to assemble this data and get a sense of where they are. Both staffs at both systems have been tremendously helpful. And again, this really is the start of a conversation, and we hope that the data is helpful. So finally, we're going to talk a little bit about quality assurance. Again, this program, which is called the Performance Funding Program, that gets sometimes confusing now that we have outcomes-based funding. But this program has been in existence since 1979 in Tennessee. And it is the answer to when people say, in the outcomes-based environment, how do you ensure quality? We ensure quality holistically across a range of different measures. The first one is accreditation. Obviously, within many occupations, there's a third-party group who is the specialized accreditor. They have a well-known process in place that, having witnessed it now a couple times, is extremely rigorous. And we want to ensure that all of our accreditable programs in Tennessee are accredited. The next part is those programs that are not able to be accredited. And even though there is not a third-party evaluator, we have to ensure that there remains a quality assurance component in place. And so we ask them to conduct either an academic audit or a traditional program review. We are proud of these numbers. This represents our academic program inventory's quality. Talk about accreditation for a moment. There are 566 accreditable programs in Tennessee, and every single one of them is currently accredited, except for 46 new programs currently undergoing the process, and 6 that have either had their accreditation rescinded or the institution has elected not to pursue it. Obviously, in those cases where accreditation could be received and has not, that results in a lower performance funding score and thus an effect on dollars. But to have, out of 566 programs, every single program save new programs and 6 programs that have elected not is, I think, a huge success and truly a testament to the institutions and their pursuit. If they're going to be in the business of nursing, they want the CCNE stamp. And if they're going to be in the business of business, they want the AACSB stamp. And I do not know how other states approach this, but I know that this is a tremendous program we have underway. And the institutions often tell us, thank you for having this in place, because in addition to the specific accreditation they seek for degree programs, everybody seeks SACS accreditation. And so in many ways, the framework they follow to get to these numbers prepare them for a very rigorous SACS accreditation review process. When you see the traditional program review and the academic audit, you really need to think about that, the different components that comprise that. Curriculum. Is the curriculum follow? We hire an external evaluator to come in and look at that. Does the curriculum follow the established industry norm for that field? Resources. Do they have the administrative staff they need? The brass tacks of really running that program. Faculty. Are the faculty in place that need to be there? Do they have the typical credentials you would see? And so when you have each of these 3 areas, I think you have a really great depiction that in Tennessee, though we have moved to outcomes, we have retained a focus on quality. And I think it would be a focus on quality that would be hard to find in other states. Any questions on this? Well, that is the academic program review for 2012. Please, if you review your materials after this, don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you again to the systems for their assistance. And that is all I have.
I guess I can speak as a historian. This may not seem very significant to many of you, but there was a time, Richmond, when we had absolutely none of this. There was mission creep all over the places. We had courses that were donor-driven. Someone comes in and says, look, I would like my legacy to be known as the best buggy whip manufacturer in Middle Tennessee, and here's the money to set up a school of buggy whip manufacturing by George. They bring one through here. And once they got on the books, they never went off they were there. And you had a catalog, and students looking to come to these schools, and boy, they see all the stuff, and then guess what, folks? We quit that 10 years ago, but it was there. So this is an amazing step. And Tennessee pioneered in a lot of these areas, by the way. Performance funding, John Morgan knows that. So again, it may not seem significant to those of you here, but this is amazing progress.
Thank you. Thank you for that perspective. Exactly. Okay. Our next two items we've actually covered this morning in our work session, Gear Up update and the Audit Committee report. So we'll go down to G, 2G, which is the legislative report. And Scott Will normally got 5 minutes for his update. And it's 2:22, so
I think I
you got a little more time. You got 30.
Thank you, Chairman White, Dr. Rhoda, Commission members. As you may know, we started the 108th General Assembly this month. Today represents the end of the filing of general bills on the Senate side with what they call a 9-bill limit remaining on the Senate. And those are going to be in by February the 14th. The House of Representatives, one deadline over there, February 14th. As you may have heard, both speakers have expressed their intention to have an efficient legislative session that wraps late April, early May. So we've seen a little bit of precedent there, and I think we can expect that kind of efficiency from them this year as well. First and foremost, I've already been queried by a couple of commission members regarding the THEC sunset. As you may know, we're in wind down, and the agency is due to move into expiration at the end of June of this year. A bill has been filed by respective chairman on the Senate side, which would take us to 2014, placing us into another wind down after that. Now there is, some logic here that there's an alignment between THEC, TSAC, TBR, and UT. So we have. I've been in communication with those offices and those staffers and members, and I think we're gonna be moving on that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully. As far as legislation, the bills are still being filed, coming in right now. I'll just kind of give you a sampling of some of the things that we've seen so far. We're seeing some legislation affecting the fee waiver and fee discount programs that are available. As you know, the state employees, even retired state employees, enjoy a 25% discount for their children, as teachers also enjoy that who are currently employed full-time. One bill that's been filed would allow expand that demographic to include retired teachers as an audience that can take advantage of that. There's also legislation that it would allow the children of directors of schools who themselves may not be certified teachers to also take advantage of the discount. Our chairman on the Senate side and Education, Chairman Gresham, has filed a bill along with Representative Reagan in the House that they have entitled the Military Education Assistance for Tennessee Act. Basically, this would afford veterans coming off of service to enjoy in-state tuition rates. Traditionally, there have been instances where our soldiers are coming off duty. They face some obstacles if they want to come to Tennessee strictly to go to school. Attaining that in-state tuition rate can be a difficult thing for them at times. This legislation seeks to attract veterans to the state and bring them into our public institutions. Another bill that's been filed seeks to address the meningitis immunization issue and delineate some criteria that waiver forms and/or possibly mandatory immunizations for meningitis for the students that are living on campus and in residence halls and frat houses and so on. We've got a lot coming in the pipeline. Certainly filing deadlines, for those who know, represent a whole lot more coming at us. So we're going to continue to monitor that. I'll work with the TBR folks and the UT folks to keep you apprised, and that's all I've got. Any questions?
Questions for Scott?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. Dr. Rhoda, you just want to let us know when the next
Right. The next quarterly meeting is scheduled for April 25th. Same format. That's Thursday. If there are any changes, we'll certainly let you know as far in advance as possible. But work session at 10 o'clock, regular meeting at 1 o'clock.
All right. Thank you so much. Any announcements, any comments any commissioners need to make?
Well, we find ourselves in an unusual position of actually having time so we're not scrambling around before the joint meeting. So I would suggest that after we adjourn, we step away from the table, we'll straighten up the tables, and then at some point the members of the Board of Education will be coming over. They have had a work session this afternoon, so they're about in the same state of being meetinged out. And then we'll reconvene at 3 o'clock, and I think at that time the governor is still planning to be here at 3 o'clock.
All right. Thank you. Hope you stick around, anyone.
Mr. Chairman, I'll tell you one thing. The notion of Dr. Rhoda being on the Elephant Sanctuary Board has made me recollect that I've never seen a larger abscess in my life except on an elephant's elbow, Rich, so good luck.
With that, we're adjourned.
Wow. I mean, it's like...